Há um olhar que sabe discernir o certo e o errado. Há um olhar que enxerga quando a obediência significa desrespeito e a desobediência representa respeito. Há um olhar que reconhece os curtos caminhos longos e os longos caminhos curtos. Há um olhar que desnuda, que não hesita a afirmar que existem fidelidades perversas e traições de grande lealdade. Este é o olhar da alma. Alma Imoral nasce de um período em que eu lia sobre a psicologia evolucionista, que aponta a moral como um instrumento importante para a preservação da espécie humana. E eu pensei o contrário. O que acontece quando esse corpo moral se torna estreito, quando ele se faz um obstáculo ao futuro da nossa espécie? Como se dá esse processo imoral de transcendência, de transgressão, para que essas fronteiras sejam ampliadas? Este filme é sobre as almas imorais, pessoas do nosso tempo que, da minha tribo e ao mesmo tempo com uma dimensão universal, representam este esforço por expandir as fronteiras da nossa consciência e produzir a possibilidade de um futuro melhor. A primeira porta que fui bater é do meu querido mentor, Zalman Scherter, nascido na ortodoxia, nas tradições e que se defrontou com os anos 60, anos de novas relações sociais, novo olhar para a sexualidade, onde os próprios psicodélicos representavam um desejo de ampliação de consciência.
I pray that God will help, that what we do will always be good at the first take, that there won't be any post-production problems with it, and that what we are trying to do here will touch the hearts of people who will see this, and they will open their hearts, and they will become agents for the healing of the planet. Let's say Amen.
Amém.
Amen.
Okay.
A compreensão bíblica de corpo e alma é diferente da concepção de Darwin ou da psicologia evolucionista. Ela inclui uma outra dimensão da missão animal além da procriação. Sua natureza transgressora.
A alma jamais representou o elemento moral e patrulhador dos bons costumes. Ao contrário. Eles são representados pelos interesses do corpo, das leis, do cumprimento do estabelecido. O maior interesse do corpo é sempre a preservação.
Toda moral, toda tradição, toda religião e toda lei são produtos do corpo moral de um animal moral. E toda a sociedade está voltada para vestir a nudez do ser humano.
Capaz de romper com os padrões e com a moral. A alma é o componente consciente da necessidade de evolução. Só a alma transgressora, só a traição ao corpo moral resgata a verdadeira possibilidade de imortalidade.
Nani nani, nani nani, nani nani, ai nani querelijo, ai nani querelijo, el hijo de la madre, el hijo de la madre, de chicos de
Deus sabe que no dia em que dele comerdes, se abrirão os vossos olhos, e sereis como Deus, sabendo o bem e o mal. E viu a mulher que aquela árvore era boa para se comer, e deu também a seu marido, e ele comeu com ela. Então foram abertos os olhos de ambos, e conheceram que estavam nus.
Ay, dormite mi alma.
Ao comer a maçã, o corpo foi empurrado para fora do seu habitat natural pela alma. O compromisso inquestionável com a reprodução, crescei e multiplicai, é a própria definição de corpo. Já a alma é a desobediência, o ato de comer o fruto da árvore proibida. No entanto, a tradição judaica não aponta essa atitude como sendo um pecado original, mas apenas como um marco da primeira desobediência registrada na consciência humana. Adão e Eva eram, até a realização dessa desobediência, macacos. Sua transformação em seres humanos e o surgimento da consciência acontecem quando desobedecem. Neste momento, o ser humano conheceu a sua alma, a sua parte mutante e transgressiva. Se deu conta de que sua existência ia além de cumprir desígnios e instintos da vida e que, ao arriscar transgredir, se encontrava também a possibilidade de transcender.
Esse momento que é marcado, que é o momento de início da consciência, que é a história de Adão e Eva, o texto bíblico é bastante claro. A consciência vem de um lugar crítico, é um lugar onde existem interdições, onde o ser humano reconhece coisas que não devem ser feitas. A descoberta da nudez, uma nudez que não existe na natureza, a natureza não conhece nudez. E essa descoberta é obviamente parte dessa estrutura crítica que o ser humano desenvolve. E como tudo na vida, tudo que você vai usufruir, que você vai ter acesso, vai sempre ter um lado sombra. E é isso que a história revela. Por um lado, uma dimensão que é todo o início de uma história que desemboca em nós e no futuro que nós vislumbramos para o ser humano. E em outros sentidos, essa ambivalência em relação ao nosso próprio corpo, a nossa dificuldade em reconhecer a imperfeição no nosso próprio corpo, que é o que nos incomoda na nudez. Portanto, aí uma complexidade que é ganha justamente num lugar que é paradisíaco, num lugar que é totalmente da inocência, onde não existe nudez, onde não existe bem e mal, não há nenhuma forma de discernimento, e esse discernimento é tanto o material pelo qual nós vamos construir a nossa história e é o grande instrumento do ser humano, da nossa mente, ao mesmo tempo é o lugar que às vezes nos apequena. Criado por pais ateus, Akiva entra em contato com a tradição judaica aos 22 anos, quando a irmã se suicida e o pai decide que é a hora do filho ir para Israel. Ele só se reconhece na cultura judaica quando, durante um passeio por um vale no deserto, escuta o chamado de Deus.
Every living being is a pounding drum. So when people say I don't have rhythm, this is nonsense. Your heart is beating from the time you're born. You have rhythm. Now when you come to prayer, they say, please, we don't like that. We don't like the drums in the church, in the synagogue, in the mosque. With all due respect, the people know better. The people want this. The people love this. When you offer them that, they always say yes. But when it's forbidden, they follow the rules. And we have many rules like this. Where did these rules come from? In our neck of the world, they came because the temples were destroyed. And there was this feeling that we are in exile. There is a feeling that we should be in mourning. That's why our prayers are in such minor keys. It ain't necessarily so. Baruch Hu es Adonai Hamvorah. It's the same notes, okay?
If God were a drummer, what would God's beat be? Can you feel it? Feel it? Feel this speed? Feel it? Feel it? This is God's beat. Feel it? Feel it? Feel this speed pounding deep into you, pushing you to be you. This is a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Can you feel it? Feel it? Feel God's beat. Feel it? Feel it? All the way to your feet. Can you feel it? Feel it? Feel God's beat. Pound deep in you. Ah.
O Senhor disse a Abraão: anda da tua terra, da tua parentela e da casa de teu pai, para a terra que eu te mostrarei. Abraão é um transgressor. Sua história pessoal começa com a escuta de um comando: sai, rompe, em outras palavras, trai. Simbolicamente, ele é o herói que empreende a viagem do seu corpo em direção à sua alma. Rompe consigo mesmo e com a narrativa tanto de sua origem como de sua identidade herdada, para se tornar um modelo da arte de se reinventar e evoluir. Por um lado, ele é o pai da tradição, compreendendo a importância de transmitir valores às gerações seguintes. E, no episódio do sacrifício de Isaac, o pai de um novo paradigma. Toma agora o teu filho, o teu único filho Isaac, a quem amas, e vai-te à terra de Moriá, e oferece-o ali em holocausto sobre uma das montanhas.
O anjo do Senhor lhe bradou desde os céus e disse: Abraão, Abraão! E ele disse: eis-me aqui. Então disse: não estendas a tua mão sobre o moço, e não lhes faça nada, porquanto agora sei que temes a Deus, e não negaste o teu filho, o teu único filho.
Ao atender ao comando deste sacrifício, que era parte da cultura local de seu tempo, Abraão constrói uma ponte entre obedecer e desobedecer. Ousando ir ao ponto de maior tensão entre executar a ordem e não fazê-lo, ele encontra uma maneira íntegra de desobedecer e ouvir um novo comando que desdizia o anterior.
Seu ato mutante é um ato de preservação. Sua rebeldia é uma forma de responsabilidade e sua transgressão provém de sua retidão. Ele é, sem dúvida, um representante da alma imoral.
Esse vale é talvez um dos lugares mais antigos da cidade de Jerusalém, onde as pessoas faziam sacrifícios ao deus Baal, traziam aqui seus filhos, normalmente o primogênito, e sacrificavam aqui nesse vale aqui embaixo. É daqui desse vale que o termo inferno na tradição judaica, Gehenna, ganha o seu nome. Para a gente é importante porque esse é um dos lugares, talvez um dos lugares aqui do planeta que marca um ponto da consciência do ser humano, onde o ser humano se fazia perguntas sobre o certo e errado, onde um lugar entre o inconsciente e o consciente se encontravam. Ele está bem aqui registrado, a conexão com o momento em que Abraão segura a faca e não cumpre com esse desígnio de sacrificar seu filho. Esse é o ponto, esse é o lugar. Em 1953, o casal Julius e Ethel Rosenberg é executado nos Estados Unidos sob a acusação de passar informações sobre a bomba atômica aos soviéticos. Mantém sua integridade nas posições políticas e morrem lutando por uma crença maior do que sua própria existência.
One of the greatest peacetime spy dramas in the nation's history reaches its climax as Julius Rosenberg and Morton Sobel, convicted of revealing atomic secrets to the Russians, enter the federal building in New York to hear their doom. Another of the spy ring, Mrs. Ethel Rosenberg, who with her husband was convicted of actually transmitting the secrets to Russia through Soviet diplomatic channels. It is a stern jurist they face in Judge Irving Kaufman. After administering a tongue lashing in which he charged them with the indirect death of thousands of men in Korea, he sentenced both Rosenbergs to death in the electric chair and Sobel to 30 years in prison. It is the first time in peacetime that such a death penalty has been handed down.
My parents were arrested when I was 3, and they were executed when I was 6. My brother's 4 years older than me, so he understood a lot more.
I was 7 when Julius and Ethel were arrested, visited them in prison starting when I was 8, and then I was 10 when they were killed.
Just to make it clear, my parents were charged with conspiracy to commit espionage. They weren't charged with espionage, they weren't charged with treason. The government cheated in order to obtain a conviction, is the simplest way to put it.
Because the only thing the government wants is not a confession, they want names. If you cooperate, you will get clemency. That's the only way you're going to live, if you cooperate. And that would have been a terrible betrayal for both of them, a betrayal of the people that he got into this.
Neither Julius nor Ethel Rosenberg were master atomic spies, members of an atomic spy ring that stole the secret of the atomic bomb. And Ethel was not guilty of any active involvement in espionage. But she knew that Julius was involved with a group of young people to help the Soviet Union defeat the Nazis, and continuing after World War II by providing military-industrial information to the Soviet Union. So that Julius was guilty of something. But that the government knew from the very beginning that neither Ethel nor Julius were guilty of the thing that they killed them for.
How did you and your brother relate to that? Because as being a good soldier, he was not being a good chief of the family, kind of.
Well, I mean, I think that in some ways that's the hardest question. Why would someone with small children decide to engage in this kind of activity? In many ways, people take the kind of actions that my father did for the benefit of their children.
Because of what they did, we get to grow up to be proud.
At a very, very, very high cost.
Yes, yes, yes. And as I said before, if we had been bounced around instead of finding Abel and Ann Meeropol, our lives might be much different.
I owe a tremendous debt to the people who saved me, So rather than seeing myself as being owed a debt, I see myself as owing a debt. And part of that is Abel and Ann Meeropol. And Abel Meeropol was a writer, and he wrote the very famous anti-lynching anthem, Strange Fruit, that Billie Holiday popularized and that now has been reproduced worldwide and is the United States magazine, Time magazine, which is a very major publication here, though now magazines are kind of disappearing, pronounced it the song of the century in the year 2000. Well, that was a song about lynching. And from Abel Meeropol's perspective, the Rosenberg case was a legal lynching.
Acatando a sugestão do pintor Marc Chagall, Franz Kreisberg vem morar no Brasil. Aqui fará da sua arte um grito de alerta contra o holocausto dos indígenas e o progresso predatório que destrói a natureza.
Perto da fronteira da Rússia na Polônia, eu liberei um pequeno campo de concentração com húngaros, que eu vi lá, falando, e eu começo a chorar.
Franz, deixa eu te perguntar. O teu trabalho, essa história que você tem, essa história toda, como mistura essa história entre a Europa, Holocausto e ecologia?
Foi muitas vezes na Amazônia, porque eu me interesso pela saúde do planeta. Eu me encontrei no Rio Negro. De repente, a gente viu um fogo. Eu vejo assim, vejo uma índia e a filha viraram uma escultura preta, tudo queimado. Essa foto eu mostrei em Davos. Toda a sala levantou, gritando sem parar. A revolta contra esse massacre que estão contra os índios.
No Mato Grosso, você viu índios pendurados, enforcados.
Sim.
No Brasil, vê isso no meio da floresta. Qual é o teu sentimento?
Isso, Rio, Juruena. Eu vi uma nuvem no céu de urubus. Eu mandei meu barco ir na direção lá. Eu desci do barco, mas não foi fácil, tanto urubus que tinha. Eu fechei os olhos, fiz uma foto, virei e fui embora. Eu pego o resto de queimadas, trago até da Amazônia para fazer esculturas que gritam. Eu me interesso muito pela vida, pelo planeta e pelo homem. não gosto que separam. Não aguento mais ver esse racismo que tem contra a gente. Isso não aguento. A passividade aqui me machuca muito.
Todos nós nos deparamos com lugares que se tornam estreitos. Esses lugares que serviram para nosso desenvolvimento viram limitadores. O corpo não gosta de mudar. São a estreiteza e o desconforto que convencem de que não existe outra saída. A fuga dos hebreus do Egito para deixar a escravidão rumo à liberdade simboliza a tensão entre os interesses do corpo e da alma. Arrependido por ter permitido que os hebreus deixassem o Egito mesmo após sofrer 10 pragas diferentes, o faraó os encurrala junto ao mar. Em desespero, os hebreus se voltam ao líder Moisés. O que fazer? O povo, representativo do corpo, se divide em 4 acampamentos em meio à confusão. O primeiro quer voltar e se conformar com as limitações. O segundo acha que tem condições de lutar e se dispõe à impossível tarefa de transformar o lugar estreito em amplo. O terceiro cai em desespero e quer jogar-se ao mar. O quarto se mobiliza em oração esperando que o novo, magicamente, não implique em que ele mesmo tenha que se modificar. Assim, não há passagem pelo mar. A resposta de Deus às vacilações do corpo é decisiva e intrigante. Diga a Israel que marche.
Steven Greenberg é o primeiro rabino ortodoxo abertamente gay. Sua fala é pautada pela tensão entre compromissos e rompimentos, a partir da perspectiva de um ortodoxo que se recusa a abandonar sua fé ou a sua comunidade religiosa. É casado com o ator Steven Goldstein.
The myth of Jewish marriage is that you love someone so much that you're willing to offer that love as a resource to God to do big things with. So marriage isn't about following love. It's not. It's about saying we've fallen in love and now we're ready to make our love a public trust for the use of God and the society and community to do good things with. So we're giving our love away. Our love, this love with a partner, is now usable for everybody to grow the society. That's incredibly beautiful. The myth of that is Eden and the redemption of Jerusalem. Because every man and a woman could start the world over again like Adam and Eve, and the perfection of the world will only come if we have men and women coming together and making families and babies. That is not a gay story. It is a beautiful, straight story. Do I need to gerrymander and force a beautiful, straight story into a gay? Because I need to, have everything you have? No. I need to have a beautiful gay story. There's moments in which the rules are insufficient for our transformation. But we don't have the way to get there. So I have the best quote for you. Rav Kook, in Arpelei Toar, wrote the following. Lifamim yesh tzorch bepirza. Sometimes it's necessary to burst through and transgress. And it, because we don't have prophecy anymore to do this in the right way, and no one knows how, so the next stage is accomplished by transgression that of itself makes us sad, but of its consequences make us happy. Now here's what I think he's saying, is that sometimes the system can't correct itself. And the only thing that corrects it are brave and dangerous actors who do what's good, even though it's, you call it, wrong. The system has no way to get there. And so they jump over the river and do what they must. And then they build the bridge backwards over the river, and then everyone can crawl out.
A congregação Shah-Zahav acolhe todas as sexualidades, gêneros, raças e arranjos familiares. Sediada em São Francisco, faz de seu ativismo uma forma de avançar no judaísmo a questão da tolerância e do respeito à diversidade.
When I was a child on my father's deathbed, he asked me in this liminal state, would I marry a Jew? I promised him with all my heart. It didn't occur to me at that time to say, Papa, if I fall in love with a woman, is this okay? In truth, the fulfillment of my commitment to my father, that promise that I made, really came upon becoming an imam. It was in becoming a parent that I discovered I had fulfilled my task. I could see that my child was loving Shabbos and loving Jewish music and appreciating nature and not for a moment questioning the authenticity of her Jewish family or community here amongst so many other families where there are two moms or one gay father or just the diversity in how she looks at what is a Jewish community. I could see that we've arrived. There are enough ambassadors of the next generation, like queer spawn. We tease, we call them. A lot of people don't like this word queer, so generationally we're very careful about how we use that word. But the young people who are having children, these children who've grown up, they go and they say, "What's your problem? My parents are gay." You know. We were in D.C., in Washington, D.C. once with a group of teenagers to lobby on Capitol Hill for the end of DOMA. And this group of kids were from Atlanta. And they said, oh, they didn't know anything about us. They didn't know anything about us except that we were a foreign congregation from San Francisco. And they said, San Francisco? Are there like homosexuals everywhere? And a young man in my youth group, he says, they are everywhere. They're in our homes, they're in our temples, we're crawling with them.
O Rabi Yoshua, filho do Rabi Hanina, disse: certa vez uma criança arrebatou o melhor de mim. Eu viajava e me encontrava diante de uma encruzilhada. Vi então um menino e lhe perguntei qual seria o caminho para a cidade. Ele respondeu: este é o caminho curto e longo, e este, o longo e curto. Tomei o curto e longo e logo deparei com obstáculos intransponíveis de jardins e pomares. Ao retornar, reclamei: meu filho, você não disse que era o caminho curto? O menino então respondeu: porém lhe disse que era longo.
Na trilha da sobrevivência, a mesmice muitas vezes é o caminho curto, mais simples, que tem os custos mais elevados, longo. Ir pelo caminho mais simples e mais curto é uma lei evolucionista. Os corpos se movem na direção mais imediata e curta. Os galhos buscam a luz e e o animal a água, mas sua inteligência interna, sua alma, está atenta a longas modificações. As espécies sobreviventes são aquelas que souberam fazer opções pelo longo caminho curto. Nossos mecanismos de detectar se são curtos longos ou longos curtos apontam novos inícios de relações de trabalho, amor ou amizade. A coragem está em ouvir o menino das encruzilhadas, a alma.
A medieval concept of truth is 1 degree of 360 degrees. A New Age concept of truth is 360 degrees of truth. And each degree of truth has a degree of counter-truth. So when in philosophy, or in theology, if I veer away from 1 degree of truth, they already say that's heresy. You know, I say something else that isn't Roman Catholic, but it's a little bit more Greek Catholic, it's already considered to be wrong. But if I go and say that there is 360 degrees of truth, and how did I get to that? I got to that not from the yeshiva. I got to that from psychedelics. There is a place, and this is what people are trying to do now with ayahuasca and with all the other ways of saying, I want to know not from what I learned because somebody taught me this, but I want to know from my basic experience. And so when somebody goes into and says, I want Pachamama to tell me what's going on, never mind what the teachers of the books tell me.
Nascido na Alemanha, Uri Avner emigrou com sua família para a Palestina em 1933, fugindo do nazismo. Lutou por Israel na Guerra da Independência. Logo percebeu a importância da coexistência com os palestinos e tornou-se um transgressor que luta pela paz.
I'm a political person. I had to be, because when I was in Germany, I witnessed the end of the German Republic and the beginning of the Nazi regime. So when I was just turned 15, I joined a terrorist organization called the Irgun, which was a right-wing fighting organization. Of course, we did not call ourselves terrorists, we were freedom fighters, but the British insisted on calling us terrorists. The Irgun was very right-wing. I didn't feel right-wing. The Irgun was anti-Arab. I did not feel anti-Arab. And I did not really believe that we can liberate the country by the methods of terrorism. That's why I left. And I was a soldier for about a year. So when I came out of that war, the first thing I did was to look for Arab cooperators in order to found a group devoted to the idea of what we now call the two-state solution. That was the beginning of the two-state solution. When my first book came out, I told you it was an incredible bestseller, totally crazy. And the more popular I became, the less I liked it, because I thought I'm becoming popular for the wrong reasons. So I said, this can't go on. And I wrote a second book called The Other Side of the Coin, in which I described the other side of the war. The killing, the evictions of the Arab population and things like this. It created a huge scandal again. And from one day I became a national hero to a national traitor. I was 10 years in the Knesset. I made more than 1,000 speeches in the Knesset, which was, no one even came close to it ever until today. And I propagated the same things. alliance with the Palestinians, recognizing the Palestinian two-state solution, complete separation between religion and state, treatment of the Arab, equality for the Arab minority in Israel, and so on. And I started to establish contact, which was strictly illegal, with the PLO outside the country. Arafat sent a message to Said Hamami. Said Hamami sent a message to me. I took the message to Rabin. And so it went back and forth, all kinds of proposals. Arafat made all kinds of proposals, not in big things, small things. Mm-hmm. And Rabin refused all of them. But there was a contact established.
Transgredir é transcender. Nossa história não teria mártires no campo político, científico, religioso, cultural, artístico, se fosse possível transcender sem colocar em risco a sobrevivência da espécie. Mesmo a sede de poder não é tão aterradora para a tradição como a traição pela transcendência.
Se por sede de poder alguém rompe com um senso comum para a preservação e reprodução de nossa espécie, é um fora da lei. O traidor, por sua vez, é um transgressor. Ele propõe outra lei e outra realidade. Se alguém rompe com uma estrutura tradicional de família, pode ser caracterizado como perverso e tem o seu lugar garantido na sociedade. Ele é o que não se deve fazer. Mas, se o rompimento é acompanhado de um desejo de legitimação dessa conduta, esse indivíduo é inaceitável e um bom candidato ao martírio.
Publicado em 34 idiomas, autor de dezenas de livros, cineasta. Edgar Queret é considerado a maior voz da sua geração.
My parents' upbringing was very different and strange, you know, and my father told me the only time in your life that you're obliged to speak up is when people tell you to shut up. He said, if nobody tells you, and the truth is that in the last war, at some stage when they basically threatened every person who spoke up, you know, the extreme right wing had threatened him, I realized that, you know, that the choice to remain silent was taken away from me. And of course, you know, me and my wife expressed our opinion, you know, it was on we had to pay a price for it, we were threatened, you know, but at the same time, doing that, we felt that, you know, that we would not be complete if we won't say what we were saying. And I want to say that there is something, you know, in Israel, always the discourse is left-wing and right-wing. I think that one of the most controversial essay that I wrote was very linguistic. I always write from linguistic point of view. And what I said that the word peace became malignant to the region. Because why? When you talk about peace, everybody wants peace. Hamas wants peace, Israel wants peace, we all want peace. What does peace mean? That you can do what you want and nobody kills you. But what does compromise mean? Compromise means that you have to give something in return. Peace, you ask God for peace. Compromise, you negotiate, you know. And saying this was enough to get people extremely aggressive and threatened, you know, just the fact that I asked that we use one word instead of another. When you talk about this reality and when you talk about, let's say, the clash inside Israeli society, I always say that the difference between right-wing and left-wing, fundamentally, is the difference between optimism and pessimism. Because left-wing always say things can get better, and right-wing say this is as good as it gets. Don't touch it, it's going to break, everything is going to be ruined, you know? And what I feel very much is that the ability to be optimistic became a threat to some people in this society, you know? And I think that for me, the breaking point was really when my son, who's now 9 years old, had told me at some stage, he said to me, you know, I have no problem with the fact that you and mother want peace. I just don't want you to say it out loud. And I said to him, why? And he said, well, you know, we learned in school that all the people in the Middle East that said that they want peace got killed. Yitzhak Rabin, Sadat, John Lennon. I don't know how John Lennon fits in the Middle East, but for my son, it made sense. So I thought to myself, in what stage had we arrived in which to have a racist remark is something safe? My son doesn't have a problem if I say something racist. It's not dangerous. But to want peace became this kind of a thing that is outside of the consensus, the things that you should be punished for doing it, you should be threatened for doing it. It makes you dissident, just the fact that you wish to live in a better place or in a more moral place.
Natalie Cohen é uma artista anarquista e internacionalista que manifesta seu protesto através de monólogos. As performances perturbadoras da atriz levaram as autoridades a proibir que usasse a internet e teve seus computadores confiscados por meses.
Look, all my monologues, I have the monologue about the teenage that was raped by a soldier. Through these eyes of this teenager who think that soldiers are, like angels, and even if he raped her, it's okay. She said, I don't need to complain because I need to say thanks to him or something like this. So say thanks that he did it with a condom. How do you say condom? It's universal condom. All right. So usually I have anger in my monologues, but it came with a lot of humor too.
שלום זאבונים, למה יש לכם רובים כל כך גדולים? למה יש לכם חומה כל כך ארוכה? איך הגיע לבית הסבתא החולה?
הבאתי לכם ויאגרה ויין שתרגישו חופשי לשפשף על החומה את הזין.
ומולטי ויטמין כדי שיהיה לכם כוח להקים עוד מחסום. וגז מדמיע שתיקחו את חופש הביטוי מכאן.
I prefer to die about, to be quiet all my life and don't do things because the cops try to scare me. But I'm not scared from the cops. They need to be scared from me.
Yeah, definitely.
A natureza de toda a experiência espiritual é a tensão constante entre duas preocupações opostas, preservar e trair. Ela se nutre das tensões da experiência do passado a ser preservado e do futuro a ser construído a partir da traição. A importância do presente está na responsabilidade que temos de honrar o passado e o futuro numa medida artisticamente concebida de compromissos e rompimentos.
Tikkun é uma das revistas mais respeitadas do mundo judaico e também uma das mais controvertidas, onde seus criadores, o rabino Michael Lerner, defende o direito da ação política progressista entre os judeus e uma leitura das tradições religiosas engajada com as questões sociais.
The network, Tikkun, was founded in part after the work of the Institute for Labor and Mental Health. And we are part of that institute. And I'm the executive director of the Institute for Labor and Mental Health. And we did a 10-year study of the psychodynamics of American society. And it was at a time when middle-income working people were starting to move politically to the right. And the question that we were asking was, why is this happening? Now, the left had its answer. And the answer was, the reason why middle-income working people are moving to the right is because they're racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, or stupid. And one of these is the explanation, and depending on who you're dealing with. But we started to, and why stupid? Because they said, well, because they're acting against their real interests. And what they meant was that the right is clearly not supporting their economic interests, and the left is, and nevertheless they're voting for the right. So we started to inquire about this, and what we learned after dealing with thousands of people in our research was that the left was wrong, that there was actually a deep spiritual crisis in American society, a crisis that was based on the materialism and selfishness that people learn every day in the world of work. They learn that the bottom line is maximize money and power. They learn that to get ahead, you've got to manipulate and control others. You've got to push yourself forward at the expense of other people. And that nobody in the world of work is there to protect your back. That everybody is basically advancing their own self-interest. So they started to internalize the ethos of the world of work, which is the ethos of the capitalist marketplace, and then bring that home into personal life. And as people brought that home into personal life, it became harder to sustain loving relationships. Families were being undermined. People were learning to look at other people primarily in terms of, what can you do for me? What's in it for me? How can I get something from you? And they often voted for right-wing candidates because the right-wing candidates were at least talking about a spiritual crisis in the society. They were talking about the breakdown of family. They were talking about a sense of meaning to life, and particularly the right-wing churches. Whereas the left was talking only about economic entitlements and political rights. Now, we were totally identified and support the left on economic entitlements and political rights, but we started Tikkun to try to explain to the left that it needed to also address the spiritual crisis in American society, the hunger that people have for meaning. At first we called it a politics of meaning. Now we're calling it a spiritual progressive politics. But that hunger for some framework of meaning and purpose is spread throughout the whole society. Now, not that people don't care about money, of course they do. But a lot of what we learned in our research was that people were fighting for more money as a compensation for a life that they felt was meaningless otherwise. And what they fantasized was, well, at least on my vacations or when I retire, I'll have some money so I can do what I believe in. Because right now, I'm stuck in a world of work in which I can't really do very much.
Filho de sobreviventes do Holocausto, Jake Gabriel chega aos Estados Unidos ainda jovem. Seus pais querem que seja rabino. Ele sonha em ser o Bob Dylan. Nos anos 80, faz o caminho de volta para a tradição.
I did lift you up on loving eagle wings. I have brought you back to me. I did lift you up. On loving eagle wings I have brought you back to me. You will be my precious one, for all the earth is mine. You will be a sacred family in touch with the divine, forever, for all time. Julie was a lesbian rabbi who was very out, one of the first really out lesbian rabbis, talented woman, brilliant woman, went to Swarthmore, brilliant woman. Anyway, so they invite me over and they say, you know, you don't have to drive so far back, you have to go all the way up 3 hours, you just came to be with Zalman. We have an extra bedroom here, you should use it. So I used the bedroom a couple of times. About the third or fourth time, they said, we have a question for you. Sit down. And here's the question. Would you mind giving us some sperm? Julie really wants to have a baby. So I thought about it and I said, okay. And they started laughing because they said, you don't know how many guys we've asked who are willing to make love to anybody. But God forbid you really want to get a child out of it. No, please don't touch my sperm. You know what I mean? And so I was the first person who said yes to them. All right. So what happened was I said, you know, there's no guarantee this is going to take. And they said, yes, yes, yes. So, you know, I went up to a private room.
The idea was that you would be
I would not be father.
You're not.
She had a contract, and she said, I'm going to pay you for it. I said, you don't have to pay me. No, I have to pay you. I want it to be contractual. And the contract says, it's not my child. Rafi Greenberg was born a year later. And then a year and a half later, she asked me again. I said, I don't know. Okay. You know, she's a good mother, very talented woman, but she's single. She's raising the children alone. So I said, again, I'm not sure if this is going to work. She said, got pregnant immediately again. And 9 months later, Zoe Greenberg comes out. Both tremendous children. Smart, friendly, kind, because they're raised in a very loving home. Now, Julie comes back to me another time and said, I can't do this. Karmically, 2 for me is a lot, man. I understand you're a great mom, but you got 3 to deal with already. She says, no, I can do it. I said, so what she does, it's very beautiful. She goes to Guatemala and she adopts 2 children more. And it's almost like a miracle story because what she does is she uses the Mount Airy community with a lot of renewal rabbis and reconstructionists. She uses that community to create male models for him, to create friends, and people to take some of the responsibility because she can't do it alone, really. Mm-hmm. So the whole thing about it takes a village to raise a child was literally true in her case because she's got 5 kids. She also had a synagogue downtown. She was doing weddings. She was one of the first to do gay weddings, you know, and be open about it.
Não existe experiência de traição que não venha acompanhada de apego. Quando indivíduos que mantêm relações afetivas fazem movimentos transgressivos movidos pela alma, são imediatamente confrontados com movimentos de apego pelo corpo. O desequilíbrio maior em um casamento surge quando um dos dois dá um passo em frente. Quando um cônjuge esboça transformações em sua pessoa, implicando transformações na relação, o outro muitas vezes cobra justamente os compromissos assumidos, dando um passo para trás. Se numa relação alguém se modifica, o pacto é este: todos devem se colocar em movimento. A reação de dar um passo para trás, expondo carências, coletando justificativas ou evocando direitos, é um apego, que em si é a maior das traições ao sonho assumido em pacto. Entenda-se por infidelidade tanto o rompimento de compromissos como a manutenção dos mesmos de forma destrutiva. Há traições pela fidelidade muito mais violentas do que as traições pela transgressão. Quantos casamentos são uma traição profunda à promessa de uma vida de mútuo enriquecimento afetivo? Viver esse tipo de casamento após se terem esgotado todas as medidas para curar a relação é uma forma de traição à alma bem mais séria do que um possível adultério representa.
Pós-doutora em filosofia e escritora premiada, Rebecca Goldstein se especializou na trajetória de Baruch Spinoza. Além de obras acadêmicas, ela escreveu livros de ficção onde os personagens enfrentam questões ligadas à fé e à capacidade de compreender os mistérios do mundo físico.
Well, I was brought up, very Orthodox. I come from a long line of rabbis, and my brother is a Orthodox rabbi. But I think that, had I been a boy, whatever that means, to imagine that, I probably would have gotten caught up in the same kind of intellectual world that my nephews are now involved in. And, I would have been a very different life for me. But one day I was in school, and it was a class in Historia and Jewish history, and the story was told of Baruch Spinoza, of this boy in 17th century Amsterdam who was brought up in a good Jewish community, and he rebelled, he betrayed, he was expelled from his own community, and then it fell on greater Christian Europe to condemn him, to excoriate him. He was considered, he was a disgrace, to the Jews, a Schande for the He didn't voice any of his doubts and his heresy until both of his parents had died. Because of, and she used the phrase, shalom bayit, peace in the household, not to cause controversy within your family and to be a disgrace to your family. And I remember, because I was already not a believer, completely not a believer, and I remember thinking, I'm going to be just like Spinoza, that this is exactly the right way to do it, to think your thoughts, and try to go with them in your own head. But until my parents are gone, I'm going to follow his lead. And I promised myself this, and I kept it. Everybody knew within the house, within my family, I wasn't a believer. And, every time my mother would compliment me, my family would eat over for Pesach, right? I mean, they trusted my kashrut so much they would eat in my house for that because they took it very seriously. They trusted me. But I remember she walked into a kitchen once, my kitchen, and I had just, made it all, everything covered, the whole deal, and I'm a complete atheist at this point, right? And I'm teaching philosophy, and but my mother said, I'm very proud of you. I don't think there's another kitchen as kosher as yours. And I said, Mom, for this you're proud of me? It was like, and I'd be very forthright. I'd say, I'm doing it for you and my extended family. I don't believe in it. I didn't want to be a hypocrite, because actions sometimes, usually actions seem to connote belief, and I had none,
A partir da epigenética, que reintroduz ideias de Lamarck, fazendo correções na teoria da evolução de Charles Darwin, Eva Jablonka defende que a evolução vai além de uma seleção de variações casuais nos genes.
It's something that is happening today from many, many directions. And I think one of the interesting things that is happening from the side of science is that we are learning that our dichotomies, the way that we divided the world, and we thought that these divisions were robust and were definite, are not so robust. Everything is much more fuzzy and much more fluid. And all the boundaries between, let's say, genetics and development and evolution are not so rigid. There is not a development and then evolution. And in addition to that, when you're thinking about animals who do not have a symbolic system, but nevertheless have social life and social learning, they also transmit information and create their own tradition, their own non-symbolic cultures, which are also very, very important. And you cannot understand the evolution of the creatures in this world, and of course not of human beings who have also the cultural system, without taking into consideration all these dimensions of heredity. We all know that when we live in a particular environment, we live a particular type of life, this has physiological aspects. this is internal, becomes part of our physiology, kind of Lamarckian view. And this was no for a very long time.
For me, it was very interesting to see in Talmudic tradition, we always keep the opinion of the minority, the opinion that was not the accepted opinion. Because in the future, maybe you can use it back and to see Lamarck, which when I studied biology was the guy, the heretic, but not only the heretic, the guy that had the completely wrong idea about what it was.
Like in the Talmud, but not as a method, you always have people who think outside the box, always, because this is human nature.
I go back to the three tribes that you didn't explain. What are the three tribes?
So one is the tribe of the conservatives. They're just doing always the same thing, even when there is a new challenge. So they go extinct. And then you have the explorers. They explore like crazy, but they shoot completely in the dark. They try everything. And they usually miss. Maybe sometimes they don't miss, but usually they will miss. And in the middle, you have the interpreters that are making the educated guesses, that are saying, well, this is new, but it is a little bit similar to this. So let's make an interpretation, a new interpretation, and try exploring in this direction rather than in all directions. So these are the interpreters. And what we're saying is that this kind of strategies, you have them all over, everywhere.
You mean the species that we have that survived are the interpreters?
I think so. I think that this is not just, for a very long time we thought that the process of variation, of generation of variation, was completely random. It was like shooting in the dark, completely. And one of the things that we are learning is that the process of generating variation itself, the process of exploration, is not completely blind. It always has a stochastic element to it, but it's not completely blind. There are many mechanisms that allow you to have educated guesses. And yes, I think that the species that we have in our world are those that have mechanisms that allow them to make intelligent guesses, educated guesses.
Oh. And I saw she calls you Abba. She calls you both Abba.
I'm Abba, he's Daddy.
Daddy, okay.
And she goes back and forth which of the men in her life are her favorites.
Okay.
Today it's Daddy.
I think this week.
Today's Daddy.
There was a gay Orthodox couple on the Upper West Side of New York that would get together once a month for Shabbat for dinner and davening. And I think you maybe were there just a couple of times, but kind of you were still closeted, so he was very, was very low key.
We've never met. Sandy brought him over to the house, and he volunteered to fix my table. He said, "Your table a little shaky. Call me. I fix tables." I thought, he wants to fix my table.
Okay.
Come on.
That's first intention or second intention?
Exactly. My first intention was to help him out with his table. His second intention, I have no idea what that was about.
I have dreamt many times of standing in front of a large audience, or just standing in front of some personage that's known, and suddenly I discover I'm naked. A dream that could haunt anyone who feels vulnerable to public scrutiny. Someone in the garden told me I was naked. A snake, it appears, has convinced me that I am hiding from God, from judging eyes. I have for many years sewn myself fig leaves, makeshift and almost incriminating. So I am caught, trying to decide whether I ought to play along with the story, to be grateful for the divine caring of the fig leaf, for the kotonot, or the scraps of animal skins that God provides the human to cover up their shame. Whether I ought to expose the lie, refuse the clothes, and shout out that covering shame with either fig leaves or animal skins does not work. It does not end the shame. Thanks to the Midrash, I have a third option. The clothing God provides, according to the Midrash, was not made of animal skins, with an ayin, but with light, with an aleph. Such clothing points to a place beyond the brazen shamelessness on one hand, and closeted submission on the other. I will try to sleep now and imagine myself dressed in light, clear and undaunted, shameless and true, with an answer to the question prepared. Where are you? Right here.
A proposta da imutabilidade é mais do que indecorosa. Ela violenta o indivíduo. Ela propõe que continuemos a fazer o que já foi feito no passado.
Transgredir é um processo. E o momento em que nos voltamos para outra direção marca um novo segmento de nossas histórias individuais e coletivas.
O verdadeiro grande crime do ser humano é que ele pode dar uma simples volta a qualquer momento, mas não o faz.
Duas coisas ficam comprometidas pela ausência de transgressão: a qualidade de vida e a possibilidade de continuidade.
When I introduced my family overseas, I say that I come from a typically abnormal Israeli family, because there are no normal Israeli family. We're all crazy. And so my parents were both Holocaust survivors, with my mother being orphaned. You know, she was in the Warsaw Ghetto in the beginning of the war and escaped it. And my father had survived the war by hiding for 600 days in a hole in the ground that was not wide enough for him to lie or deep enough for him to stand. And they came to Israel. They had a family. I have two siblings. The eldest, my brother, had started the legalized marijuana movement. And he's a very, very strong and extreme left-wing anti-Zionist who's really, who demonstrated for many times, you know, in Palestine, arrested, got beaten, you know. And about 8 years ago, he decided to leave Israel with his wife. They moved to Thailand, where he still conducts all his social initiatives from a tree house with high-speed internet. So he's the eldest, and my sister, she became Hasidic. She lives in Jerusalem in Mea Shearim. Before that, she lived in a settlement in Emmanuel. And she has 12 children and 12 grandchildren. And I'm a writer. So many people say to me, how come, like, what, did your parents teach each kid something different? Did they say to the big brother, smoke pot, and to the sister, pray to God? And I said, no, but they gave us the same legacy. And the idea was that both my parents being children of war, they always wanted us to transcend our material existence. They always wanted us, all their life they had to fight to find shelter, to find food, and they wanted more for us. And when I asked my father, Father, what do you want me to be when I grow up? And he said, well, you know what, if 30 years from now you will be a very rich doctor and you have a beautiful wife and a beautiful house, and that's it, I would be very disappointed. He couldn't explain to me positively what he wanted, but he could say negatively, I don't want you to be rich. Mm-hmm. I don't want you to be comfortable. I want you to do the things that I couldn't do. And it felt very much for me that me and my siblings, our parents took us all the way to this wall. And they said, we want you to get to the other side of the wall. We don't know what there is there, but we can help you. Step on our back and jump. Mm-hmm.
Nascido em uma família judaica, foi reconhecido como reencarnação de um mestre budista tibetano. A família resiste em aceitar que se torne monge. Michel fez a transição para se tornar Lama Michel Rinpoche.
Concho sumge ngodrupsol, concho sumge trashisho. Quando, na verdade, eu escolhi de ir para a Índia, de me tornar um monge, seguir esse caminho, né? Foi uma coisa que, para mim, sempre fez sentido. E a única resposta que eu encontrei na época foi: tudo isso vai me servir para muito bem. Ir à universidade, me formar, se tudo der certo, conseguir um trabalho que eu goste e ganhe bem. E eu comecei a olhar à minha volta e eu via muita gente que dinheiro não faltava, tinha uma ótima educação, tudo, mas é que estavam muito felizes, de verdade, né? E aquele encontro foi importante porque eu senti com você, ao mesmo tempo, uma sintonia, né? Eu senti, muito bem, ele me entende. Eu me senti aqui compreendido. Isso, diante dos olhos da minha avó, foi importante para ela também, acredito, naquele momento. No budismo, a gente tem vários tipos de votos. Porque a proibição, de uma certa forma, ela se encontra quando alguém te diz você não pode fazer algo, né? E são 3 níveis. São chamados os votos da liberação pessoal, que é pratimoksha, que seriam os votos monásticos, que são muito práticos, são todas coisas externas, né? E uma grande parte desses votos vem da época de Buda, na comunidade monástica, na qual acontecia uma coisa, sei lá, o monge não pode fazer xixi em pé. Por quê? Porque naquela época não tinha banheiro. Aí acontecia de um monge lá fazer xixi em pé, alguém vê, criticar, olha os monges como são mal educados, não sei o quê, então o monge tem que fazer xixi agachado. Vira uma regra. Hoje em dia a regra não vale mais, está no banheiro fechado, tem quem diz não, a regra tem que seguir. Você pode estar no banheiro fechado, tem que fazer xixi sentado. E tem outros que dizem não, a regra, no momento no qual a razão dela deixa de existir, a regra cai.
Tá lembrando aqui uma história racídica que tem de um mestre racídico que proíbe o filho de ler um livro, que era um livro que tinha sido censurado pela tradição. E aí tem um incêndio na biblioteca e esse manuscrito é queimado junto com outros livros e ele fica desesperado, porque ele mesmo não tinha lido esse livro, e ele corre para o filho e diz: você leu? E ele diz: pai, como é que eu vou ler se você me disse que era proibido? Criado dentro da tradição judaica e conhecedor dos ritos do seu povo, o professor Noam Chomsky exerce um papel acidamente crítico das religiões e de políticas do Estado de Israel.
As a child, I thought I'm going to be more religious than my father, but then I observed my grandfather, who was ultra-Orthodox. And I remember once on one of the holidays, Passover, I guess, we were visiting them, and I noticed that he was smoking. And I asked my father how he can smoke, because the Talmudic principle says no difference between Shabbat and a holiday except with regard to eating, binyan achilah. So my father said, well, he's decided that smoking is eating. So I realized that the Jewish religion, I suppose every religion, is based on the assumption that God is an imbecile. We can fool him, you know. And in fact, if you look through the history of religion, I think that's true. Pascal has a wonderful essay in Provincial Letters called, I think it's called The Utility of Interpretations. It's by the Jesuits and how they are able to interpret the Gospels so that it means the opposite of what it says. So if the Gospels say you should give alms to the poor, there's an interpretation which says it means you keep it for yourself, you know, and so on. And the idea is God won't understand because he's not very bright. And if religion is based on the assumption that God is so stupid he can't understand that we're cheating him, what's the point of being religious?
Para o texto bíblico, a linhagem feminina é que tem o protagonismo na traição.
De um lado, temos o episódio das 2 filhas de Lot, que escapam com o pai da hecatombe de Sodoma e Gomorra e pensam que não há mais sobreviventes. Para salvar a semente da espécie, embebedam Lot para engravidar dele. Cada filha gera uma criança. Uma delas recebe o nome de Moabe, filho de meu pai. Gerações mais tarde, Ruth, uma moabita, será o elo entre esta transgressão e um dos lados da descendência do rei Davi, de onde se originará o Messias, segundo a tradição. Do outro lado desta descendência está Tamar, viúva de um dos filhos de Judá, Ela reivindica um herdeiro para dar continuidade à semente. De acordo com a tradição, poderia engravidar de um dos 3 cunhados, mas não consegue. Anos depois, disfarçada de prostituta, engravida do sogro. Desta relação, gerações adiante, aparecerá Boaz, que juntamente com Ruth formarão a linhagem do rei Davi. Mesmo na história de Ruth e Boaz, há descumprimento da lei. O resgate da viuvez de Ruth, bem mais jovem que Boaz, não acontece por quem teria tradicionalmente esta responsabilidade. É Boaz, bem mais velho, que o faz, sinalizando aspectos incestuosos nesta solução. As filhas de Lot, Tamar e Ruth, são responsáveis pela gestação deste filho messiânico, nascido não das convenções e da lei, mas de sua transgressão.
Ex-presidente da Universidade de Al-Quds e ex-representante da Autoridade Palestina em Jerusalém, o professor Sari Nusseibeh exerce um papel moderador. Por tradição, sua família guarda as chaves que abrem as portas da área das mesquitas em Jerusalém.
I have a very kind of difficult relationship with Jerusalem. And it's like a love-hate relationship. I don't know exactly how to describe it. On the one hand, I feel that as I grew up, I looked upon myself first as a Jerusalemite, rather than being a Jordanian or Palestinian or Muslim, a Jerusalemite. And that the city was something that was somehow idyllic for me and so on. But at one stage, I started rebelling against this because I felt I was being a captive to something unreal. And then the kind of Jerusalem that I saw evolving around me and building up over the last 20, 30 years, in our case, looking at settlements, looking at the transformations and so on, has made me less and less in love with the city. And I somehow, I think, the process I went through, which is to liberate myself from the love of the city, is one that I think is necessary for everyone who is in love with the city. I think they need to liberate themselves from the love of that city. And in particular, from the love, again, I'm sorry to say this, but as a rabbi, but the holiness with which we ascribe to rock and to stone, which seems to me to be, and this goes back to what I was saying about human values, which seems at one point to lead to bloodshed, to me is a contradiction. It doesn't hold up. The story of Abraham and the sacrifice. What concerns me is the fact that, well, two matters, but the one matter that is relevant to what I'm saying is the fact that at the end of the day, God told him, don't do it. Change his mind. You can do something else. He just wanted to test him. But no, you don't kill your son. It is his son. And, whatever it was, God told him no. So not over a rock. Don't shed blood on this rock, the blood of your son on this rock, on my behalf. And you need to sort of get this message. Sure. And you need, therefore, to liberate yourself from the love of the rock.
Em 2006, grupo de ex-soldados israelenses e palestinos baixa as armas e funda o movimento Combatentes pela Paz, para quebrar o ciclo de violência, unindo forças dos dois lados do conflito.
It's very difficult to be a Palestinian sometimes. It's very strange and difficult to grow up under strange occupation. that you don't understand their language, you don't understand why they came to occupy you or to control you as kids. So because we think that we have no other choice, we have no safe place for ourselves, we became victims of the occupation. Means we became fighters when we were 16 years old with 2 grenades and Kalashnikov. My group used the 2 grenades against the Israeli patrols, and of course in that time no one killed, no one injured, because we don't know how to use it in a professional way. At the age of 17 we have been arrested, and the first one got 21 years in jail, 19, 15, 14, and I get 7 years. Now it's not anymore a game. You are a fighter, you are a hero, you are a warrior, you are in jail now, and you have a long 7 years, so you need to understand who is your enemy.
קודם כל גדלתי בבית ציוני. הסיפור שלי, כפי שאני תמיד מספר אותו בלוחמים לשלום, הוא מתחיל בסבא שלי, שהיה פליט מאירופה לפני השואה. הוא היחיד מהמשפחה שלו שברח מאירופה. הגיע לפלסטינה, לישראל, ואחרי המלחמה ב-45 הסתבר לו שלא נשאר אף אחד מהמשפחה שלו. אז אני גדלתי עם זה בילדות שלי שהציונות זה לא איזה קונספט, זה לא קולוניאליזם, זה לא גזענות, אלא הציונות זה פשוט מה שהציל את סבא שלי. וגדלתי בכלל בלי השאלה אם זה נכון או לא נכון, אלא זה פשוט מה שלומדים פה במערכת החינוך, זה שציונות שווה הצלת חיים של העם היהודי. והיה לי ברור מגיל מאוד צעיר שאני רוצה לשרת בצבא, שאני רוצה להיות קרבי, ואכן התגייסתי לצבא, נהייתי חייל קרבי, נהייתי קצין.
In jail I watched a movie about the Holocaust. And for me the Holocaust, someone called Hitler killed 6 million Jewish people, and you never think about it. It's just like a number. And because it's not belong to me, to the Palestinians or to the Muslims or to the Arabs. So I understand this movie is about Hitler and the Jews. I want to enjoy seeing this movie as kind of revenge. At least because I'm in their jail, they tortured me, they occupied me. So at least to see a movie, to see someone torture them, win over them. And in a few minutes, I found myself crying. I get sympathy with those innocent people. I forget that they are Jews. I get very angry because I didn't see those people fighting back.
סיימתי את השירות הצבאי שלי כסגן, ואז התחלתי לעשות מילואים. לאורך הקריירה האומנותית שלי התחלתי ללמוד משחק, נהייתי שחקן מקצועי בתיאטרון רפרטוארי בישראל, והייתי אומן מאוד מחויב לאומנות, ומאוד אהבתי את מה שאני עושה. אבל חודש בשנה הייתי יוצא מהחיים שלי, ומשרת את הכיבוש. וחודש בשנה הייתי מתנתק מזה, והולך ועומד במחסומים, ומונע מנשים בהיריון ללכת לבית חולים, ועושה חיפושים בבתים ומעצרים. מפר זכויות אדם ברמות מסיביות.
My jailer, he was very extremist because in general they are not allowed to talk to us and to understand our stories. They need to treat us as killers, terrorists, bloody people, dangerous people, and that's it. And for us, they are our jailers. Nothing worse than that. And once one jailer, he want to talk to me, and he say, it's not good for you to be a terrorist or a killer. Why you are here? So in that time, I answer him that you are the killer, you are the terrorist, I'm a freedom fighter. And which is something very important when you are fighting. We use the word armed struggle, which is something moral. It's not terrorism, it's not violence. So he wants to understand why I am a terrorist. Because he thinks that we are settlers, we are occupiers. My story, my narrative, we are not occupiers. We are under the occupation. But I understand that he believes that we are occupiers. So in some place, I want to explain to him that we are not occupiers. So I said to him, you know, maybe we are settlers, I don't know. Let us talk. I have a long 7 years, if you can convince me. And this is how we start to talk. So each time he came to his job as a jailer, we start to talk. In a few months, we became very close friends. He understands that we are not occupiers, we are not settlers, we are not killers. the occupation create from us fighters. In the same time, later on, I understand that I already changed my way, my mind, because I want to accept him too, to see him as a human being.
ורק אז התחלתי לראות פתאום, עד גיל 29, שנהייתי אבא לילדה קטנה, לתינוקת, כשהייתי עושה סיורים בתוך מחנות פליטים, בתוך ערים, הייתי רואה ילדים וילדות פלסטינים, אבל הם לא נראו לי תינוקות, חמודים, חמודות, כמו שפתאום קרה לי כשהייתה לי כבר ילדה.
Maybe after around less than 1 year, in the 1st of October 1987, before, like 2 months before the first Intifada, we are in one section, 120 prisoners from the age of 12 to 19 years old, only 12 years old. And for the occupation, they are terrorists, they are killers. In that day, we are hearing alarm, enter to our section more than 100 soldiers. They stand in 2 lines in our corridor. So I start to shout in Arabic, in Hebrew, in English. They continue beating me, but in the end of the corridor, 6 soldiers take me aside and they start to repeat me again. And in the middle of that, someone came and lay on me with his body to protect me. And this was my jailer, because he come to his job. So he's seeing them beating me. Directly he come to protect me, which was very dangerous for him, for his job.
היום אני עובד באוניברסיטה בתל אביב, אני עושה פרויקטים עם ישראלים ופלסטינים, אני עובד הרבה בבתי כלא, עם אסירים, עם מכורים, עם פגועי נפש, עם פליטים מאפריקה, ואני משתמש בתיאטרון כדי לשחרר את עצמי ולשחרר אנשים אחרים. ומצאתי את עצמי, אמנם מתאמן על טנקים במשך השירות הצבאי שלי, אבל רוב הזמן הייתי עסוק בלדכא אוכלוסייה פלסטינית באינתיפאדה. והקלאש הזה, בין הדימוי שהיה לי איך אני מגן על מדינת ישראל, לבין המכות שאני דופק לילדים פלסטינים שזורקים אבנים, או פולש לבתים כל לילה והופך בתי מגורים של אנשים חפים מפשע, פתאום, אתה יודע, שהייתה לי ילדה בת 2, והייתי רואה ילדה פלסטינית, תינוקת בת 2 או 3, אז זה היה מייצר אצלי את הקשר לילדה שלי הפרטית. לפני זה ראיתי טרוריסטים קטנים. פתאום אתה, משהו מתחבר, ואתה אומר, הילדה הזאת, יש לה אבא כמוני, שאוהב אותה כמוני, והיא מתוקה, והיא לא טרוריסטית, והיא לא ירתה עליי, היא כמו הילדה שלי בדיוק. והגיע הרגע שלא יכולתי יותר לספר לעצמי את הסיפור הזה שאפשר גם וגם. ואז סירבתי לשרת בשטחים, והתארגנו קבוצה של קצינים וחיילים, וכתבנו עצומה שאנחנו מסרבים, והיה סקנדל גדול ב-2002, ינואר, קראו לנו בוגדים, ואמרו שזה קופ דתה, ושמו אותי בכלא לחודש. אבל ידענו שאנחנו עושים את הדבר הנכון. ובמהלך התקופה הזאת מישהו סיפר לנו שיש קבוצה כזאת בפלסטין, של לוחמים לשעבר, שישבו הרבה שנים בבתי הכלא הישראלים, והם מתנגדים למאבק הפלסטיני האלים לשחרור. הם חושבים שהפלסטינים צריכים להיות מחויבים למאבק בלתי אלים, והתחלנו להיפגש איתם.
In 2002, I heard in the Israeli media about the refuseniks, which is unbelievable for me to see Israeli soldiers and officers, pilots from elite units who refuse to take part of the occupation. So I wish to meet those people. 3 years later, here in Beit Lahem in Everest, it was the first meeting between 4 Palestinians, ex-prisoners, I was one of them, and 7 ex-Israeli officers. And you can imagine the first meeting. I wish that I can escape.
Which year was that?
In 2005. I don't want to check their hands. They are criminals for me. They are killers. They are my jailers, my killers, who torture me in the checkpoints every day.
זאת אומרת, שני אנשים כמו בסם וכמוני, שפיזית, קונקרטית, לפני 20 שנה, לפני 25 שנה, היינו יורים אחד על השני. ירינו אחד על השני. יש אנשים בלוחמים לשלום שהם פיזית, קונקרטית, היו באותן זירות, ירו אחד על השני.
This is what I told them when we decide to create combatants for peace. You need to remember, we are not friends, we are not brothers, we are real enemies. But we want to create a partnership, we are partners. If we became friends or brothers in the way when we work together, it's not bad, but this is, remember, this is not our goal at all. So we don't need to love each other. We need to be partners.
והיום אנחנו יושבים ועובדים ביחד ונאבקים ביחד בכיבוש, ואני מכיר את הילדים של בסם והוא מכיר את הילדים שלי, ואנחנו מבלים ביחד ובאמת רואים אחד את השני, ואפילו אוהבים אחד את השני.
And the first year we became 300 members. It takes a lot of time to agree on the name, Combatants for Peace. Combatants, it's a combat soldiers. But then we discover that we start to be a real combatant soldiers when we have the courage to talk. 2 years later, in the 16th of January 2007, an Israeli border police, he was a teenager, shot and killed my 10-year-old daughter, Abir. She was my third child, in front of her school, 9:15 in the morning, from a distance of 15 to 20 meters, in her head from the back, in a normal day. She was with her sister and 2 other girls. She fell down, and 2 days later, she passed away in Hadassah Hospital. For that, when I met the killer, which I call him the victim, in the Israeli court after 3 years, and I know in his background, it's not a crime to kill a Palestinian. It's not a crime at all. So I told him, I need you to know that you are not a warrior. You are not a hero. You didn't kill the enemy or the terrorist. You just killed 10 years innocent girl.
כשהילד שלי היה נולד לי תינוק, הרבה אחרי שכבר הייתי בלוחמים לשלום, והיה לו דלקת קרום המוח, מנינג'ייטיס, ובאמצע הלילה, אתה יודע, התנפח לו פה, ועלה לו החום, ואני ואשתי היינו בהיסטריה. וב3 בבוקר, זהו, אתה יודע, אתה רואה הילד אפאתי, זה פחד אלוהים. כאילו, תחושה שאפשר לאבד את הילד. ונכנסנו לאוטו, נסענו לבית חולים, ויש כזה שומר בבית חולים. והיא כזה מחזיקה את הילד בידיים, ואני אומר לו, תפתח את השער. והוא כזה אומר, לאן? ואני אומר לו, תינוק, תפתח את השער. והוא פותח את השער, ואני נוסע, והמחשבה הראשונה שיש לי, זה כל האנשים שבאו עם תינוק למחסום, ואני אמרתי להם, אתה לא עובר. ואמרתי לעצמי, אולי מישהו ירגיש כמו שאני מרגיש עכשיו.
One Israeli soldier shot and killed my daughter, but more than 100 ex-Israeli soldiers and officers come to build her garden, in her school, in her memory. And this is how to use your pain to build more bridge, even with your enemy. And this is because the pain is ongoing pain forever. You need how to deal with it, how to direct it. Of course, 2 days later, directly I joined the Parents Circle Families Forum together with 620 Israeli Palestinian families who try to spread a very simple message. We need to exist. We must exist, both sides, on this land as 1 state, 2 states, 5 states. Otherwise, we will share it as 2 big graves to our kids and ourselves.
Cada vez que fazemos o esperado, reforçamos um padrão humano automático de torpor. Existe em nós uma tendência de querer agradar a nós, aos outros e à moral de nossa cultura. Com isso, vamos gradativamente nos perdendo de nós mesmos. E o despertar é a capacidade de perceber situações horríveis em nossas vidas, tanto no plano particular como no social e cultural. Desse horror surge uma nova forma de ser. Uma nova forma de família, uma nova forma de propriedade e uma nova forma de tradição.
Aquele que não faz uso de todo o potencial de sua vida, de alguma maneira diminui o potencial de todos os demais.
Nascido na Bielorrússia, foi morar em Israel nos anos 90. O coreógrafo estuda a forma com que as questões políticas e sociais afetam o corpo físico.
My first encounter with the archive material was through the social media. It was through a clip where a small child who is a bit drunk during a Purim celebration kind of violently banging on the door of a Palestinian house. I was quite overwhelmed by this scene, and I was questioning what engages such a small child into such a violent, expressive physicality. Whereas before I was also working together with the Palestinian collaborators living inside Israel in my productions, in archive is the first time that I direct my gaze towards what is happening in the occupied territories, addressing questions that related to the resonance of the occupation on our bodies. And what I see is troubling, especially in this location where the border is really being negotiated. The body is claiming its territory. Especially archive, especially this work, which uses materials of B'Tselem, which is a human rights organization working to expose human rights abuses towards Palestinians. Of course, this cooperation of me with this organization is criticized by people who do not want this information to be exposed. The idea is that I'm engaging the audience into a different kind of watching, because we are all practicing watching in our daily life, and we're watching a lot of violence also. Usually much worse violence that I'm showing in the work. But I think that through this proposition, the idea is that can we generate a different kind of spectatorship?
Todos nós construímos na nossa identidade, na nossa formação, um território. Todos nós somos um pouco fundamentalistas. E é um território que não é autêntico, é um território que representa um lugar estreito, um lugar onde a gente se sente protegido. E é nesse momento que vai se construindo, vai se sedimentando um território que para todos nós é o território da nossa identidade. E em dado momento ele vai se transformar num lugar pequeno. A vida vai convidar a fazer esse movimento para fora desse território. A saída desse território é sempre percebida como imoral. Nascido Jeffrey, nos anos 90, Iska Smith enfrenta os preconceitos e faz a transição de gênero, rompendo com a tradição para preservar sua autenticidade. Resgata sua identidade e, com o tempo, reconstrói sua relação com a tradição.
If we were born perfect, we wouldn't need to be here. Some of us, it's more external, some it's more internal, some it's more challenging, some it's more subtle. But none of us come into the world without something. We're all a work in progress. From early on, as far back as I can remember, perhaps at 5 years old, I felt something was really wrong inside of me. Now, this is not 2015. This is like in the mid-50s, 1950s. I really believed two things. I believed that I'm a girl, and I don't know how this could be because my body looked like a boy and everyone kept saying I'm a boy. So how could it be that, including my mother and father, my own parents, be lying to me, yet I knew that I'm really a girl? I really built up a whole life. I mean, I had helped put into the world 6 children. In 1991, it all fell apart, actually during the Gulf War crisis. And my family, got divorced. That's when I first became aware. It wasn't until 1992. I was back in the States maybe a couple of months, and I read this article about someone who transitioned. At that point, I was 41. This person was in her 50s. And I said, oh my gosh, there's a way out of this prison. I could really bring my body and soul together. They don't have to be in conflict. When I began my transition, it came from within me. It wasn't put on me. It's a piece of God that's called my soul that I found and discovered and felt within me. And it isn't written. Where is it written that I'm supposed to lead a life of truth as a lie? Nowhere. Ba'af makom. Ba'af makom. It's never written that in order to live an honest life, I have to lie. I mean, that's a paradox. That's an oxymoron. We all need, every human being, Jew, non-Jew, LGBT, non-LGBT, older, younger, black, white, everything in between, Israeli, non-Israeli, every human being is born into not only a world where he or she needs to undergo some type of I'm a work in progress, but that I'm a work in progress individually is part of a global redemption. And the redemption, I'm not talking about necessarily the redemption that the prophets are speaking about. It's really a redemption from everything that's holding me back from doing that is a state of enslavement. And moving from enslavement, moving from avdut to chirut, to really be free to who I was designed to be in order to go about the tikkun, that's what I would like to share with people. So it's not about you understanding my gender transition. It's really about me as a teacher, as a spiritual mentor, as a fellow human being, as a fellow Jew, as a fellow woman, as a fellow Israeli, as a fellow whatever you want to fill in the blank with, understanding, well, let's explore together what's holding both of us back. And maybe we can inspire each other. Maybe we can share. I don't have all the answers. You surely don't have all the answers. No one does. So let's dialogue. And let's leave the gender part, the gender transition, let's leave that on a shelf. You know, put it gently on a shelf. We'll get back to it at a later date. What's much more important is that we connect. So this was not easy, of course, for my mom and dad to process. But when my mom saw me for the first time after the complete transition, after the surgery, so we were both a little bit nervous, and we hugged, and we started to cry a little. And then she looked at me and she said, "You have nothing to explain. As hard as this is for me, you have nothing to explain. I see something in your eyes I've never seen before. I see peace. And from when you were a little child, I knew something was not right, just in your eyes. I didn't know what it was." And there I am saying, "Oh gosh, Mom, thank you." And then she looks at me. She said, "Okay, you know, I don't like your outfit. Let's go shopping." Great.
É mais conveniente apresentar Satã apenas como resultado do risco e da transformação do que também como pesadelo da acomodação. Satã é a dificuldade que temos de distinguir a luz da escuridão. Muitas vezes a luz não está nem naquilo que promove a preservação, nem no que promove a transformação. Por interesses naturais, a cultura e a moral, no entanto, nossa sociedade resolveu transformar Satã num espantalho que realmente nos afasta da mudança. É por medo dele que se obteve um instrumento a mais para manter as pessoas ocupadas em seus próprios padrões, sem se permitir ousar e descobrir novas possibilidades da própria vida. Sua linguagem e a sua imagem passaram a servir como porta-vozes da imutabilidade, da tradição, da família e da propriedade. Sua fala eloquente e repleta de exemplos da vida e da realidade são poderosamente paralisadoras.
A cantora Mira Awad transgride ao se identificar como palestina e israelense, sabotando a ordem estabelecida. Recebe críticas e tem fãs dos dois lados do conflito.
أنا يوسف يا أبي إخوتي لا يحبونني لا يريدونني بينهم يا أبي يا أبي.
I grew up in Ramle village, which is in a Palestinian village in the north of Israel. My father is Palestinian from the same village, and my mother is Bulgarian. They met when my father studied medicine in Bulgaria, so I grew up in a Palestinian village, but in a mixed family. And I left when I was 18, and I registered into the university in Haifa. Haifa is a mixed town, both Hebrew and both Jewish and Arab. And I guess only when I was in the university that I actually had to define myself identity-wise. Because when you're growing up in a Palestinian village, you don't wake up in the morning thinking, oh, I'm Palestinian. You're just what you are, and everybody around you is quite the same. So you don't really have to deal with it so much. But when I got to the university, I suddenly felt that I was the Arab around, and suddenly my identity, in a way, hit me in the face. If I want to explain how I see the world, I get a lot of criticism for this, what we're talking about, forgetting my roots, getting away from my origins, even abandoning the Palestinian case or the Palestinian heritage. And the way I look at it, I haven't abandoned my roots. On the contrary, the way I see it, humanity, the human race is like a tree, okay? And you're a man of God. You're a man who believes in God. I don't. So excuse me for my metaphors that don't come from Adam and Eve. And now there's a big tree of this human race with all these branches. They're wonderful, all of them, but they're all these little branches and sections and sectors. And what we're doing right now is each one is trying to water only their own branch. You cannot water a tree from its branches. It will die. And this is what humanity is doing right now. If we're talking about Palestinians and Israelis, they're doing the same. Each one wants to take care of their own. But the way I see it, you cannot take care of anybody if you don't water the roots, the stem of the tree. We're gonna all die if we don't care for each other.
Em teu ventre conceberás e darás à luz um filho, e pôr-lhe-ás o nome de Jesus. Este será grande e será chamado Filho do Altíssimo. E disse Maria ao anjo: Como se fará isto, visto que não conheço homem algum? E respondendo o anjo disse-lhe: Descerá sobre ti o Espírito Santo, e a virtude do Altíssimo te cobrirá com a sua sombra. Por isso também o santo que de ti há de nascer será chamado Filho de Deus. O Jesus histórico, ainda em sua condição judaica, antecedendo ao cristianismo, aparece como ligado a uma rede trançada por gerações na gestação de um ser humano maior. Não seria o filho de pedigree castiço, mas o ser humano mutante e ilícito. Nele se depositavam as esperanças da salvação da espécie. Essa inversão de preterir o puro sangue pelo bastardo revela o valor atribuído à alma imoral e sua capacidade evolutiva. A mudança da patrilinearidade, receber a identidade do pai, para a matrilinearidade, receber a identidade da mãe, que acontece na tradição judaica no período em que Jesus nasce, evidencia a necessidade de adaptação. Com a invasão romana e a incapacidade de determinar paternidade, a mudança para a matrilinearidade assegurava a continuidade. Simbolicamente, o pai transgressor ou o pai ausente fora substituído pelo pai absoluto. Dava-se prosseguimento à trajetória de rompimento estabelecida por Eva. Maria não era a versão pura e resgatada de Eva, mas a mãe legítima dessa espécie que caminhava sempre com aposta maior na mutação do que na preservação. Somos filhos da mutação e seremos salvos pela mutação. No dia da festa, costumava-se soltar um preso qualquer que o povo pedisse. E havia um, chamado Barrabás, que, preso com outros amotinadores, tinha cometido uma morte. E a multidão, dando gritos, começou a pedir que fizesse como sempre lhes tinha feito. E Pilatos lhes respondeu, dizendo: Quereis que vos solte o rei dos judeus? Mas os principais, os sacerdotes, incitaram a multidão para que fosse solto antes Barrabás. Pilatos, respondendo, lhes disse: Que quereis, pois, que se faça daquele a quem chamais rei dos judeus? E eles tornaram a clamar: Crucifica-o! A voz do povo é a escolha da espécie diante de suas inquietudes de sobrevivência. É um julgamento não apenas entre o certo e o errado, mas entre o certo e o errado e o errado certo. De um lado, Barrabás, que em aramaico significa literalmente o filho do pai. E do outro, o filho sem pai, ou melhor, o filho do pai, com P maiúsculo. E com o passar do tempo, a Igreja tornou Jesus o símbolo maior da tradição. Abraçou uma moral que policiava condutas, que não poderia ser minimamente desviante.
That there isn't a single point of view of reality that you are anchored to, that reality is constantly dynamic. You can see it from this point of view, you can see it from that point of view. And that's very important. Once we saw Earth from outer space, it became very clear to me that every religion is an organ, a vital organ of the planet. And so therefore, it's not to say the triumphalist notion that we used to have, Messiah will come and all the goyim will be wrong, or Jesus will come a second time and say Jews were wrong all along, but that we all are like a vital organ. Each time as reality continues, there is always a shift involved in that, and new things that could not be accommodated under the old system get accommodated under the new system.
Quantas pessoas poderíamos ter tirado para dançar na vida e não fizemos, por ofertar sacrifícios ao nada? Sacrifício ao Deus da timidez, ao Deus da vergonha, ao Deus do medo de ser rechaçado e assim por diante. Quantas vezes deveríamos ter dito não, em vez de nos desgastarmos para dissimular virtudes que são oferendas idólatras, oferendas ao Deus expectativa, ao Deus cobrança, ao Deus culpa e assim por diante. No dia em que o ser humano enfrentar seu conflito interno, quando vir que sua integridade psíquica está ameaçada por duas vontades primordiais, então o mar se abrirá. Quando atravessar o mar cantando, movido por sua catarse, se verá em meio a outro jardim. Ali tudo será proibido e pronto para ser transgredido. Em paz com sua alma, o ser humano vagará por entre as opções de desobediência. Uma árvore, no entanto, permanecerá permitida. Será a árvore da lembrança de um período em que o correto cumpria a função de velar o medo e a culpa. De mãos dadas com o Criador, o animal imoral terá reencontrado a paz de sua nudez. Despido e ciente desta condição, o homem terá encontrado a tão esperada imortalidade da alma.